still remember the first time I ever played Resident Evil 2. I was a kid, and I didn't really know what I was getting into. We used to rent games back then. You didn't just download anything. You picked a disc, took it home for the weekend, and that was your world. I remember going to the rental store one day, and I picked out Resident Evil 2. I thought it looked interesting, but I had zero idea of what exactly I was walking into. I got home, put the disc in, started playing, and within mere minutes, I was pretty uncomfortable. The car crash, the zombies, the weird noises that the zombies made, the old blocky graphics somehow making it worse, not better. I was pretty terrified. I only played for about 20 minutes. I kept dying. I didn't understand the mechanics. I didn't understand what I was doing. And later that night, I did something I still remember very clearly. I got out of my bed and went to sleep next to my mom because I was too scared to sleep alone. That was my first Resident Evil experience. However, weirdly, my Resident Evil journey did not stop there. Even though I didn't properly understand the game of Resident Evil 2, something about it stayed with me. A few years later, I played Resident Evil 3. I was older this time, maybe about 16 or 17, and I actually enjoyed it a lot more. I was never really good at these type of games though. I burned through ammo, I was an idiot at puzzle solving, even though I did enjoy figuring them out. Fast forward a game, and then the remakes started coming out. Resident Evil 2 remake, Resident Evil 3 remake. I picked them up much later after release dates, and at this point I wasn't an OG Resident Evil player. I wasn't someone who grew up mastering the series. I was more of a casual player, trying to understand it. I finished Claire's campaign in Resident Evil 2 remake. I don't even remember finishing Leon's. However, I did finish Resident Evil 3 remake, but it was always on casual difficulty. I was still learning, and I was pretty much a noob at this point in time. I've always called myself a casual Resident Evil player, not because I don't like the games, but because I never fully mastered them the way some players did. I never grew up on OG Resident Evil 2, 3, or 4, partially because I was terrified. I only picked these games up much later. A little while later, Resident Evil Village showed up on PS Plus, and something about it caught my attention. It looked different. It felt like a continuation, but also something new. I watched a few reviews and I decided I'm going to try this. But before I played Village, I wanted context. So I watched the story of Resident Evil 7 and I found it surprisingly interesting. The idea of Evelyn, the mold, the Baker family, a biological weapon that developed something resembling emotional desire, a need for a family, a need for connection, even if it meant forcing it through infection and control. That idea stuck with me. And the story of Ethan Winters, look, he's not that much of an interesting character compared to Leon or Claire. But I mean, a man pulled into something far bigger than him, a rescue mission that turns into something completely different, and that was enough for me. I was sold at that point, and I decided to jump headfirst into Resident Evil 8 Village.
We moved here so that she wouldn't have to deal with any of that, remember?
There's nothing wrong with my memory.
Never mind. I'm sorry.
So, right from the start, something felt off. Mia didn't feel normal. Even without playing Resident Evil 7, you could just feel it. Her tone, the way she spoke, it didn't feel like a normal human interaction. Then, out of nowhere, Chris Redfield rolls up and just lights her up.
Mia. Oh, God.
And I'm sitting there like, bro, what? From Ethan's perspective, this is a bit insane. Your wife just got gunned down in your own house. by a guy who's supposed to be the hero. Now, look, I get what the game was trying to do. There was urgency, there was a bigger threat, but at the same time, there's that part of your brain going, couldn't this man just explain something first? Even just quick. Couldn't he like just say to Ethan, hey bro, that's not your wife? But no, we just go straight into chaos. Next thing you know, everything goes sideways, there's a crash, and boom, you're thrown into the snowy, isolated village. No warm-up, no slow intro, just straight into survival mode. And then the first Lycan attack. I'm not gonna lie, this was actually a really strong moment. It felt intense, but also surprisingly manageable. I played on normal difficulty, and I survived it the first try. And that's when I started noticing something. This game felt much more forgiving than the remakes, compared to Resident Evil 2 Remake and Resident Evil 3 Remake. Village felt a bit more accessible, not a bad thing, just different. Also, during that whole chaos, you see this massive dude with the hammer. I'm calling him Werewolf Hagrid, bro. I don't even care. That's his name now. His actual name is actually Urias, but nah, Werewolf Hagrid fits much better. Then the game does something I actually really like. It introduces you to the main villains early. You've got Lady Dimitrescu. Not sure if I'm butchering that pronunciation, but whatever. You've got Carl Heisenberg, Donna Beneviento, and Salvatore Marua. I also don't know if I'm butchering that pronunciation. But anyway, I call him the Fishman. Immediately, you can feel that these guys are not friends. There's tension, there's ego, especially between Heisenberg and the big vampire lady. It's not a team, it's more like controlled chaos. And the game sets up your objective pretty clearly. You're going to have to deal with all of them in order to get the flasks.
Remember from whence you
I've been waiting for you, Mr. Winters.
And somehow in all of this, you meet the Duke, this man, this fat teleporting merchant wizard bro. He just appears wherever you need him. Castle, he's there. Random room, he's there. Middle of nowhere, guess what? He's there. And you just accept it, no questions asked.
If she is truly here, the lady of the castle would have kept little Rose in her private chambers, would she not?
Into the castle section, this was probably the part that hooked me the most early on. The atmosphere, top tier. That classic gothic, creepy, old school horror vibe, it just works. Exploration felt good. The layout made sense. It wasn't confusing, but it also wasn't boring. The puzzles, I'm not gonna lie, they were pretty straightforward. Nothing crazy, nothing that had me stuck for hours, but still engaging enough to keep things moving, which again fits the tone of this game. It's not trying to punish you, it's trying to keep you progressing. Now, let's talk about a very important part. Let's talk about Lady Dimitrescu as a stalker enemy. She's intimidating at first. I mean, she's like 9'6" or 10 feet tall or something like that, bro. That alone is wild. But if I'm being honest, she didn't scare me as much as Mr. X from Resident Evil 2 Remake. Mr. X had that relentless pressure, that constant he's right behind you feeling, that thumping footsteps, and you know that Mr. X is around you in the next room and coming for you. Lady Dimitrescu, more like, oh shit, okay, let me just go the other way really quick. She's good, just not as terrifying as Nemesis or Mr. X.
I was worried my sisters had gotten to you first.
Then you've got her daughters, Bella, Cassandra, Daniela. And honestly, these fights were easy, like really easy. First one, cool. Second one, still fine. By the third one, I was like, all right, bro, I get it now. You gotta break a window, get some cold coming in, and then just unload on them. It started feeling a bit repetitive. Not bad, but definitely not challenging.
Crazy witch.
Ruined everything!
Then you get to Lady Dimitrescu herself, the actual big boss lady of the entire castle. She transforms into this massive dragon-like form, and again, visually very cool, mechanically still pretty manageable. Shoot the weak spot, stay mobile, don't panic, and you're done. So overall, the castle section, strong start to the game, great atmosphere, simple but effective gameplay, easy bosses but still enjoyable, and most importantly, it did keep me hooked.
Ethan.
What?
Ethan, come with me. There's something I have to tell you.
Mia? What's going on? Am I losing it?
Alright guys, so we are done with Lady Dimitrescu. The first flask is secured, we need 3 more. And this is where the game switches things up completely, because the next stop is House Beneviento. And bro, the second I got there, something felt off, like properly really off. The first thing the game does is it takes away all of your weapons.
Wait, where's my gun?
I was like, wait, what? Where is my guns? What the hell is going on here? After everything in the castle, shooting, upgrading, fighting bosses, now you're just vulnerable. And honestly, I kind of liked that. The pacing here is smart. You go from chaos and combat into slow, quiet, psychological horror. There are no enemies rushing you, there's no bullets flying, it's just pure tension. Then you get into the house, and there's that mannequin on the table. Now suddenly, it's like you playing CSI Resident Evil. You're inspecting clues, solving puzzles, putting things together, and it's not overly complicated, but it's just enough to keep you engaged, while something in the background feels very, very wrong. And then that baby. Bro, what the hell was that thing? I'd seen it online before, so it wasn't a complete surprise, but experiencing it yourself, different story. That thing is straight up unsettling. Out of the entire game, this was the moment that actually got me. This was the first time I died, got cornered, and yeah, that thing ate me. Not ideal, not a fun time. I wouldn't recommend it to anyone. But real talk, as a stalker type of enemy, that baby was much more terrifying than Lady Dimitrescu. And I know Lady Dimitrescu is iconic. She's like, what, 10 foot tall, whatever the case may be. But this was pure nightmare fuel.
Can't let you.
You're still alive, huh? You better find me a clue before my friends murder you!
And then, after all of that tension, you get to Donna Beneviento's boss fight. More specifically, that weird doll, Angie. And again, the game switches up. There's no big arena fight, there's no crazy mechanics. You're literally running around with a pair of scissors trying to find the right doll and stab it 3 times in the forehead. But what really got me was everything happening around that, because while you're looking for Angie, you get close to the other dolls, and they sort of start glitching out, twitching, shaking, moving in these weird, unnatural, eerie ways that just made my skin crawl. That right there, that upped the psychological horror quite a lot for me. It's not jump scares, it's deeply uncomfortable. Like something is very wrong in that house, and that's why this whole section works. It's about difficulty, it's about atmosphere, it's about tension, it's about messing with your head. And honestly, for a first playthrough, House Beneviento was excellent. It's short, it's focused, but it sticks with you. I don't know if it hits the same on a second run once you know what's coming, but for a first time experience, this was easily one of the most memorable parts of the game for me. So yeah, we now have 2 flasks, there are 2 more to go, and next up we're heading to the Fishman's territory.
It's over. Mia, I'll make things right.
Alright guys, so after House Beneviento, we move on to the next target. Another flask, another lord, and this time we're heading into the reservoir. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I don't like water levels in games. Never have, never will. Flying sections, water sections, it's always a bit of a ugh moment for me. So going into this, it already felt a little bit different. You meet this weird fish looking dude, and straight away I'm like, alright, this guy is clearly mentally cooked. Salvatore Maria, I don't know how to pronounce that name, so I'm just going to call him the Fishman from here on out. So the Fishman is basically this rejected, insecure kind of presence in the whole group, and you can feel it. Like he's trying way too hard to get approval, especially from Mother Miranda, and he's clearly the one that gets sidelined, almost like the least favorite out of all of the lords. And yeah, weirdly enough, I kind of felt bad for him, not fully, but like a little bit, because even when you go for the flask, he's basically like, stay, keep me company, and Ethan's just like, nope, I'm out, I just want the flask. And that's where things go pretty much sideways.
Not looking in fish food.
He basically loses it and just locks everything down, and now you've got water levels shifting, weird blocked parts, these bubble-like barriers cutting you off, and a whole figure it out or die type of section. This part is interesting because gameplay-wise, it's different from everything before. The castle was puzzles and exploration. Beneviento was psychological horror, and the reservoir is now basically platforming plus timing plus water manipulation. And I won't lie, I did get annoyed a few times in this section. I died here and there from mistiming jumps or just getting caught slipping into the water like an idiot. And then of course, Fishman shows up in full mutation mode and just wipes you out if you're not careful. There's also that chase moment with him in the area that's actually a pretty cool set piece. Short, tense, nothing crazy, nothing long, but it works. And then the boss fight itself. Honestly, pretty straightforward. Big arena, obvious weak points, explosive barrels everywhere, like the game is basically giving you hints. I still managed to get caught by the acid rain a couple of times like an idiot, but overall, I did beat him the first try. So yeah, not the hardest fight, but still a fun set piece. So overall, the reservoir section was cool. Not my favorite type of section because of all the water mechanics, but short, different, and actually pretty memorable because of the Fishman's whole psychological vibe. Kind of sad, but anyway. After that, we move on to the stronghold, and this is where the game says, "All right, no more puzzles, just fight, just pure chaos." So the stronghold is basically just wave after wave of lichens, tight corridors, constant pressure. I burned through a lot of ammo during the section. It's just straight up a pure combat gauntlet. No real thinking, just survive, kill all the lichens. And then you move on to the highlight, which is Urias, the big werewolf Hagrid dude, big hammer wielding werewolf boss. He's intimidating, he's pretty massive, and when he shows up, it's like sort of that oh shit moment. I think I died once or twice to him, especially to his jumping attack, but overall it wasn't too bad once you understand the pattern. And once you understand the cues, because he sort of roars and does certain things before he executes certain attacks. So one thing I will say though, it would have been interesting if he wasn't just a one-off boss. Like imagine if Urias actually followed you through sections like a stalker enemy, the same way Mr. X and Nemesis did in Resident Evil 2 and 3 Remake. That would have been insane. Actually, now that I think about it, it would have been cool if each major section had its own stalker type enemy. That would have made the game way more tense. Imagine if you had Lady Dimitrescu for the castle as a stalker, the baby as a stalker for House Beneviento, and then maybe Urias as a stalker in different parts of the game as well. It would have been pretty intense. So, but anyway, the stronghold is done, the Fishman section is done, the flask is now secure, and now we move on to target the last flask. Basically, we move on to the factory section.
Eat shit.
First of all, come to me. Put all the flasks in the altar, and I'm sure you'll figure the rest out. See you, Ethan.
What the hell?
Alright guys, so after everything with the Fishman and the stronghold, the game shifts again. Now we're heading into Heisenberg's factory, and about time, finally this dude starts talking properly, and he basically lays everything out.
Lady, supersized bitch. Ugly ass psycho doll. An embryonic freak.
I don't want to be a part of Miranda's family.
Neither did I, but here we are. And I'm next in line, right? Kill me, move up the chain. Well, fuck that!
I don't give a damn about your personal issues.
Mother Miranda is not this divine savior figure. She's been experimenting on all of the lords, turning them into failed experiments for her perfect vessel or plan, and every single one of them is basically trapped in her system. And honestly, this is where Heisenberg actually makes a bit of sense, because he's the only one who's like, bro, why are we still obeying this woman? And then he hits Ethan with the big idea. Let's use Rose and we kill Mother Miranda. Which is insane when you think about it, because at that point the story basically becomes weaponize the child or don't. And Ethan obviously refuses.
Last chance. You don't want to find out what's in that hole.
I'll take my chances.
You're futile.
Alright guys, and then you actually get into the factory. Heisenberg throws you into the hole with Stern, and things get a bit rough. Now, I'm not gonna lie, this is the point in time where I sort of disliked the factory section. The factory is maze. It's a maze like hell. Constant backtracking, confusing routes everywhere. You need these molds or these key molds just to progress. The lighting goes out at the worst possible times, and suddenly you're just lost. Like proper lost. Well, I was proper lost, bro. Like, I'm not even gonna lie, I had to use a guide here, because at some point I was playing the game and I was trying to escape the building. Enemies were cool at first, but eventually they just became annoying obstacles. And the map, bro, the map doesn't even save you, doesn't even help you at all. Before the main fight with Stern, you also get that chase sequence with Stern. Big metal engine head monster thing. It's pretty cool, it's stressful, it's loud. Basically, panic sprint through industrial hell. In terms of the stern boss fight, Mr. Propellerhead, that's the easier way to talk about him, or the easier name that I gave him. He's not really a difficult boss fight. All you have to do is just run out of the way, he gets snagged on walls, and then shoot him in his weak spot, and you're done.
I told you to leave it alone, Ethan! You are in the way.
What do you care, Chris? You killed my wife, you son of a bitch!
You think I killed Mia? That wasn't her. It was Miranda.
Alright, so after that is all done, we finally reach the Heisenberg boss fight, and Chris shows up again. Finally, it's about time. Chris sort of gives you some sort of an explanation of what is going on, what has happened, and he doesn't just give you these vague responses. So they finally didn't do Chris dirty, and Chris actually seemed like a stand-up guy again and gave Ethan some sort of an explanation about what the hell is actually going on. So,
long story short, Miranda's fucking insane. In this village, all these monsters and freaks, this is her life's work. Some sort of crazy experiment with the mold.
So after all of that, Chris gives you this cool ass tank, and honestly, this part is insane. It's just a full-on action shift, explosions everywhere, heavy weapon combat, zero horror left, just straight war gameplay. It honestly feels like the game says, alright, no more survival horror, just go crazy. I kinda did like that. I liked that they had survival horror, psychological horror. Not too thrilled about the water level, but it happened. Not too thrilled about the factory, but that happened as well. And then I loved this section. This section was pure chaos in the best way. Heisenberg then transforms into this giant metal monster and you fight him properly. It's intense, cinematic, but it's manageable. Nothing too crazy mechanically, more of a spectacle fight, and eventually he goes down. And then boom, Mother Miranda shows up. No warning, no build up, just your story ends here, or that's at least what it feels like. And she straight up rips Ethan's heart out. Like full on Mortal Kombat fatality energy at this point. And I genuinely thought, yeah, Ethan's gotta be done. Right? Right?
Don't worry. Your death will come quick. You will join the Megamycetes records. I will make sure to sample your blood for later. Once dawn breaks, the ceremony will be complete, and I will become her true mother, bound for eternity in blood.
Been a while since we fought together, Captain. When was it last? The desert?
So then you switch over to Chris, and the tone shifts completely. Now it's tactical gameplay, military cleanup operation. Tracking Rose, stabilizing the situation. It's way more grounded and controlled compared to Ethan's Chaos. Honestly, it's a nice pacing reset, and it felt awesome to play as Chris. Then the twist hits. Ethan wasn't actually normal this whole time. He's been infected, sustained by the mold, technically already dead since Resident Evil 7, just kept going through sheer will plus infection. So basically, bro has been running on plot armor fungus this entire time.
You mean you didn't think it was weird? No matter how much you got hurt?
Little Ava, my beautiful daughter. Come to me. What? My power is leaving me!
Rose!
Alright, now it's time for the big finale, the final fight with Mother Miranda. And this is where I kind of locked in because unlike the factory, this fight is straightforward. And I had saved ammo like a paranoid maniac the whole game, so I absolutely melted her with the higher tier weapons. And she goes down. Rose is saved, Miranda is done. And I'm not going to go into too much of detail about this fight because it was fairly easy for me. Maybe because I saved up all of the higher tier ammo and just emptied it out into her. So this boss fight was fairly one of the easiest in the entire game for me overall.
The hell I will.
My daughter! My Eva!
Now, Ethan doesn't make it. He stays behind and sacrifices himself in the explosion. And honestly, this one hit a bit hard because if you really think about it, this dude lost his wife
Come on, it's not that much.
twice. Right? He got dragged through biological horror hell, was never told he was basically already dead, still kept going. Ethan Winters is basically, I just wanted my family back, bro.
God damn. Goodbye, Rosemary.
Clear.
No! We can't go, not without my husband!
Mia, sit down and strap in.
Not before you tell me where Ethan is. I know he wouldn't abandon us. Tell me what's going on. Where?
So yeah, Mia and Rose get out, Chris cleans everything up, and then we get that little tease with Rose's future. And honestly, it feels like the story isn't really finished yet, but overall, I actually enjoyed Resident Evil Village. I found it a bit more forgiving than Resident Evil 2 Remake. And I know I'm probably going to upset and piss a lot of people off, but I think I slightly enjoyed this more than Resident Evil 2 Remake, just based on my experience. I'm not saying that Resident Evil 2 is worse at all, just my run through Village completely hit differently. And yeah, this actually made me want to go back and properly play Resident Evil 2 Remake on normal. Not on casual, because that's how I played it before, and I wanted to actually properly finish Leon and Claire's campaigns. But anyway, Ethan Winters didn't survive, but he finished what he came for, and honestly, that's what makes it hit harder.
Someone's gotta pay.